In this video, we're going to learn about the class Insecta. So one thing we need to know about this class is that they're one of the largest class in the phylum Arthropod. Yeah, so Arthropoda has a lot of classes. So we have insects which exist in different places. We have different insects, the ones that is very common in different regions. So we have some insects of nothing. We have different organisms that are still yet to be discovered. All right. So today I'm going to learn about this beautiful class with Insecta. So in terms of classification, so the kingdom is Animalia, it belongs to kingdom Animalia, and the phylum is Arthropoda. Very important. They are all arthropods, and the class is what Insecta. All right, and they're generally called insects. Okay, so the area or the habitat you can actually found this insect. You can find them on land. Yeah, you can find them on land. You can find them in the forest. You can find them on the grassland. And you can also find them in deserts. You have some species you found in the desert. Then you can find them growing around rivers. All right. You can also find them growing around the ponds. All right. And you can find them on leaves. Some of them do destroy leaves and all that. So you can find them on leaves. You can find them on top of flowers like bees. So you can find them in your home, like your ants, where you put sugar. So you have some insect that like sugar, so you can find them in your home. Okay, so some common example of these insects, you have your grasshopper. Yeah, it's a grasshopper. You have your butterflies, you have your bees, you have your ants, cockroach, these your mosquitoes, houseflies, these your dragonfly, and this is, what do you think this is? So I'm very skeptical about animals. Which each animal do you think this is? So this look like a weevil. It look like a weevil. So if I'm wrong, you can tell me I'm wrong. So this is your termites. Yeah. Then it's very important for us to understand the characteristics of this insect. All right. So the body is divided into three regions. You have your head, you have your thorax, and you also have the abdomen. All right. And they have 6 legs. They have one pair of antennae. They have a compound eyes. They have a compound eyes at this two part here, very large to have a very nice view of the surrounding. And they usually have one or two pairs of wings for flying. They fly from one place to another. So you can see this picture here. So these are antennae, and these are compound eyes at these 2 points. And here is the thorax, all right. And these are wings, and here is the abdomen, all right. So these are the walking legs. They use these 3 parts to walk and to move from one place to another. They use the wings to fly, all right. So this is just a nice anatomy of this species. So for you to understand the body structure, you just like this formula, this formation in football, we have 3-3-6-1. You can use this tip to memorize 3 body parts, 3 pairs of legs, 6 legs, and you have what, one pair of antennae. So you can use that formation to remember how the body structure looks like. Okay, so for respiration, they respire through what we call the spiracle. This spiracle is a tiny opening found in this insect, and air move through these tubes called the trachea. All right, so it's very important to take note of this. It's very common in multiple choice questions. All right, so this is a spiracle. Okay, that little hole you find around the body part is called the spiracle. All right, so circulation is open, so the blood flows entirely within the blood vessels. Okay, sorry, it doesn't move. The blood doesn't flow around entirely on the blood vessels. So they move through using different spots. Like I told you, we have what they call the open circulation and have a closed circulation. So in open circulation, it doesn't actually depends on the blood vessels alone. So they can move using different other means to go through all the bodies. But in closed circulation, the blood normally leaves only move only within the blood vessel. Okay, so that's just a misconception that I have to clarify. All right, so you can see this picture here. You can see so this is the blood diffuses back into the heart. You can see it diffuses back, not actually passing through the blood vessels, unlike in closed circulation. So you can see fluid pump out of the heart, Like you can hear, is the body cavity. All right, the body cavity. I can see that it actually diffuses into the heart, not entirely through the vessels back to the heart. That's why it's called an open circulation. All right. So metamorphosis is a very important thing that happens within insects. All right, and this is the series of changes an insect undergoes as it develops into adulthood. So it passes through different stages to get into adulthood. And we'll have two major types of metamorphosis. We'll have the complete metamorphosis. So the result is called complete because it passes through four stages, which is the egg stage. When they lay the eggs, the legs turn into a larva. Then from larva to a pupa, from pupa to an adult. So that's why it's called the complete. It's called it passes through the four stages. An example of insects that undergo this type of metamorphosis, you have a butterfly, your housefly, your mosquitoes, and your bees. So we have the next type called incomplete. So here we have just the egg, the nymph, and the adults. So one major part is being what expelled from this type of one metamorphosis. That's why it's called incomplete. You just have just all the three stages. An example of insects with this type of metamorphosis, you have a grasshopper, you have a cockroach, and you have a dragonfly. So it's very important to be able to differentiate them. So insects have very important have a very important role to play in the environment, and the different organisms like the plants and animals would do tend to benefit from them in both a positive and negative way. So the first one is pollination. So you can see this bee taking pollen grains from here and transferring it to the stigma of another plant, and this help for fertilization. All right, and makes the plant able to give rise to seed and for them to grow properly. So this is one of the advantages of it, and they also help in honey production. So bees they give honey, so with this can get beautiful honey, healthy honey, and make we human beings to live a very healthy and longer life. So you have some species that produce your silk. Okay, so silk is being used for different things. So we also have some species that act as biological control. So when they're present, what happen? They feed on other insects that destroy agricultural crops. So these are what we call biological control in biology. So we eat some species, we eat maggots, and we eat some. Then they give very good nutrients to the body. So this is one of the benefit. And again, sometimes they have these harmful effects on us. For example, mosquito, they're parasites. They serve as a pathogen that carries out the parasite of they carry the organisms that causes one malaria in the body. So when they pierce into your skin and suck from your blood, they tend to put in what that pathogen into the body, which causes what malaria. All right. So mosquito doesn't cause malaria. They serve as what a vector which carries what the pathogens that causes the infection. Okay. Then you have some species that feed on different crops, like this is maize. Okay, they feed on the crops and destroy agricultural crops, and with this can affect in the amount of income you want to make, and it spoil the appearance and the quality of the crops. Okay, so some of them destroy wood, like a termites. When they get to your wood, they save a colony in the wood and destroy the wood, which affects the quality of your wood. Like for example, tables and your cupboard that is made of wood, they destroy everything. And you have some species like a wasp. What happened? They sting the skin. They get your skin, they sting, and this can cause what a very painful sensation in the skin. So this is one of the negative impacts they have. All right. So just some fun facts about this species, about insects. So do you know that butterflies taste with their feet? They use their feet to taste something. That is one fun fact. And again, ants can actually carry something that is like 50 times heavier than their own current weight. So they call them most of the time. They call them the most strongest animal ever. So bees tend to the dance. They use a waggle dance to tell hive members where to find food. Fun fact. Then, do you know that grasshopper have ears in their bellies? Don't forget they have spiracles, so they use their ears to hear different stuff. All right. So this is just some fun facts. So it's not question that's very important for us to know. So the body of an insect is divided into three regions. You have your head, thorax, and the abdomen, like I mentioned before. And again, the next question: how many legs does an insect have? So the normally have was 6 legs. All right. And which part of the insect bears the legs and the wings is the thorax. It bears the legs and the wings. Instead, have the head, thorax, and the abdomen. And Insect breathes through what? They bring through what? The spiracles and the trachea. All right. So it's very, very important. Okay. So this is just a full information about insects. All right. And it's very important to get an insight to understand these major things. But if you want to ask, even asking the question regarding insects and whatsoever, these are the information you need to know about insects. All right. So I'm going to see you in the next video. And I also hope you subscribe, share my video to your friends, and keep following my channel because I'll be dropping important facts about biology. See you next time, and thank you for watching my video to this point. Goodbye.